Hello everybody, Travis here with a new deck featuring Tiny Bones Joins Up, a legendary enchantment. Last time I did an anti-discard deck, this was the reason why he's been appearing everywhere. And that's okay. I'm not going to use him just yet. Usually these decks have 3 or 4 lands at the very beginning. We want to give them a chance to empty things out if we can. We've got Ashnod as a chump blocker with Death Touch. And never mind, she's gone. Easy come, easy go. Okay, next is Realm Breaker. And they quit. Okay. Okay. Well, that's not how I thought I was going to win my first battle, but here's the main thing. I love discard. I grew up on Magic sort of playing discard. It debuted when I was in college, and that's where I discovered it. I don't do a ton of discard decks just because I don't want to overwhelm people with my favorites, so I actually probably do fewer discard decks than other people would. But it had been a while since I put one together. So, when Tiny Bones Joins Up enters the battlefield, any number of target players each discard a card. The wording is because this is a card they designed to be played with Commander format as well. Whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, again, not just one opponent, but any number of target players, each mill the card and lose 1 life. I like the way this card is worded. It seems a bit overpowered, but let me show you the rest of the deck. Normally we do a whole match and demonstrate the capabilities of the deck, you know, a lot of times, I've said this in the past, I've probably said this 3 or 4 times in the last 2 months, sometimes all you need to do is irritate people and show them one card or something, and they don't want to play against it. So discard is one of those things, but in this case it was actually Realm Breaker, so maybe they thought we were a mill deck and they didn't want to play against mill. That's possible, I suppose. We're not a mill deck. There is, Tiny Bones does say, any number of target players, when you bring a legendary creature into the battlefield, you mill a card and you lose a life. So there is some mill attached to that, but Realm Breaker is really the most milling that I have going on. The rest of the deck doesn't really feature milling. You could do that. You could do a build around and try and do a discard mill deck, and maybe I'll do one of those in the future. But here's what we got. Hopeless Nightmare. This is why I thought when Wilds of Eldraine came out that I thought there would be an uptick in discard decks, and there was for a short period of time, because not only do they discard a card, but they lose 2 life, and you get to scry 2, and you get to sacrifice the Hopeless Nightmare whenever you feel like, so you could use it as a sacrifice trigger as well, besides just using it as a regular scry. Tons of value wrapped up in this card. I did a discard deck featured around this. It was devastatingly good, and then the discard decks kind of went away for the most part. So I've seen more of them. Sometimes I'll have 2 or 3 a day that I'll face, just mostly featuring Tiny Bones. That's really the most popular one. They like to put this out, and then because it's a legendary enchantment, when they put out a second one, the first one has to go away, right? So I decided to put in a couple of mirror boxes so that we could keep all of our legendary enchantments in play at the same time. Also, because it has this rider about whenever a legendary creature enters the battlefield, almost every creature that I have is legendary to trigger it. So I did design with some synergies in mind here. We start with the one legendary Ashnod Flesh Mechanist. If you want, you can sacrifice another creature. If you do, you create a Power Stone token when you're attacking. You can spend 5 mana, exile a card from your graveyard, and create a 3/3 zombie artifact creature token. I usually don't bother with that, but I might create a Power Stone off of some tokens because we have Graz the Unstoppable Juggernaut, a legendary artifact creature. So since it's legendary, it'll trigger Tiny Bones Joins Up. It turns everything into juggernauts. Everything then has to attack each combat if it's able to. It can be blocked by walls, but it turns everything into a 5/3 juggernaut creature. And you know, if we get rid of a couple of tokens with Ashnod and turn them into Power Stones, then maybe we end up with 6 lands and 2 Power Stones, and we can cast Graz the Unstoppable Juggernaut. Usually I'm discarding them. This is why Bitter Triumph is an additional cost to cast a spell, discard a card, or pay 3 life. We use this our removal to destroy a target creature or a planeswalker. We have Jadar Gulkor of Nephalia. to create the zombie creature tokens each turn, so we have something to sacrifice with Ashnod if we want to. We've also got Raven Man. This is kind of joining up with the discard theme. At the beginning of each end step, if a player discarded this turn, create a 1/1 black creature token with flying. The creatures can't block, but it's a self-fulfilling card. He's equipped with, you spend 4 mana and tap him, and make each opponent discard a card. Again, he's legendary. It's not your opponent discards a card, it's each opponent. It's designed for Commander format. Now, I'm not saying it's not designed for standard format too, but they made a conscious decision to start making a lot of the wording because Commander is so popular. They're doing this a lot more with legendary than they used to. So this is kind of the new normal for us. So as I go through all of these legendary cards, you're going to very heavily notice in these last 3 or 4 expansions, they say like target opponent, not just your opponent, or they're going to say each opponent or every opponent, that kind of thing. They wanted to design a whole bunch of legendary stuff, especially, and make it all valid and good cards to play in the Commander format. And I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. I'm just noticing it. It's kind of unavoidable because Commander has sort of taken off the last few years. It's been on an upswing for, I feel like 8 years straight, it seems like. And they're just designing more and more cards with Commander in mind, and that's just the way we're going to be. 1 copy of Hero's Heirloom. You can equip a creature, give it +2/+1. As long as the creature equipped is legendary, it has trample and haste. If we have enough mana to bring down a creature and this and equip it in the same turn, that could be a game ender, just on that one turn. Jaren Corrupted Bishop, legendary cleric. I get a 1/1 white human creature token as soon as he comes into play, but it does cost me 1 life point. But then I can spend 2 mana, turn any target human I control, have it gain lifelink. If I have exactly 13 life at the beginning of my end step and 6 free mana, I can transform it into the legendary demon you see to the right, 6/6 flying trample with lifelink, and I can sacrifice another creature, which works if I have Jadar out especially, because if Jadar's out, Jadar's a human wizard. I could give the human wizard lifelink if I felt like it, but I could also go ahead and sacrifice the zombie creature tokens to draw cards. We have Braids Arisen Nightmare. At the beginning of our end step, we can sacrifice artifact, creature, enchantment land, or planeswalker. The opponent can also sacrifice a permanent that shares a type with it. For each opponent who doesn't, again, even though this is Dominaria United, it's over a year old, it's not your opponent, it's not the one target opponent, it's each opponent. That player loses 2 life, and you draw a card. So, again, with Jadar, we lose the zombie token, and we got a choice here to give those to the opponent. 1 copy of Gix Yawgmoth Praetor, 3/3. If it attacks and does damage, its controller, that's me, can pay 1 life, and if so, I get another card draw. So I've got a couple ways to draw cards in here. Karavik the Punisher from the latest expansion, Outlaws of Thunder Junction. Whenever you commit a crime, exile up to 1 target black card from your graveyard and copy it. You can cast a copy. You need to have enough mana. You can't cast it for free. You got to pay for the copy. Plus, you got to lose 2 life. So we do need a little bit of life gain in here to handle that. But that allows me to have these Bitter Triumphs, and to maybe as soon as I put one in the graveyard, if I get Karavik out later and commit crime, I can go get rid of something again with having that resource in the graveyard. So that's why with Liliana the Veil, maybe if I know what I've got coming up, like I've got a Karavik ready to come down, maybe I'm not shy about discarding a Bitter Triumph because I know I'm going to be able to get access to it. So I've got 2 Lilianas of the Veil. I use them in all my discard decks. It's really hard not to. It's good art. She's a great planeswalker. A good mythic rare planeswalker for only 3 mana is fabulous and fits in with the theme very well. And with Mirrorbox, we could have them both out at the same time, actually. Realmbreaker, the card that makes people scoop, if you're a wimp. Target opponent mills 3 cards. We get one of their lands from the graveyard tapped onto the battlefield under our control. And if we have Praetor cards, we could later sacrifice this for 10 and bring Praetors onto the field. I didn't use Praetors. I don't have Shieldred in here. That's because I'm bored of Shieldred. I've faced Shieldred way too often for way too long. I only have like 1 or 2 copies, and I use it every now and then, but I don't heavily populate my decks. It would have fit in here nice because it would have given me life gain, which I need. Of course, it's legendary, that kind of thing, so it would trigger Tiny Bones joins up. I just want to show you guys, I don't want to be reruns all the time, and I don't want to do what everybody else is doing. So, no Shieldred. I feel that's lazy. It's tough. I mean, you can make the same argument out Liliana the Veil, but I'm specifically doing a discard deck, so it really fits the theme for discard. I have trouble arguing against putting Liliana in. But Shieldred, yeah, I'm leaving Shieldred out. We're going to do this without him. Relic of Legends, because it's a legendary theme, we can tap any unlegendary creature we control and add a mana of any color that we need. It just so happens we're mono black, so we don't really need to worry about getting other colors, but it's a nice little mana dork. We have a couple of Gisas in here. Gisa Glorious Resurrector. If a creature an opponent controls would die, you exile it instead. At the beginning of upkeep, all creature cards exiled with Gisa go onto the battlefield under your control. They gain decayed just like the Jadar's zombies, so if we do attack with them, they're going to be exiled. You know, they make a nice standing army. Those can block, unlike the zombie tokens, which... oh, they can block too, can't they? Let me think. Yeah, no, these creatures... a creature with decayed can't block. So if they come on, these are for attacking only. Even these creatures, they come on the field with decayed, they cannot block. I gotta remember that. Enrica Domnathi, 1/3 legendary vampire with flying. You got 3 choices. It's triggered not upon entry into the battlefield, but at the beginning of combat. So we're usually trying to draw a card and lose a life, then each player sacrifice a creature. These are nice creatures to sacrifice for really cheap, and we don't really care about them. And then we transform her into a 3/4 flying Death Touch lifelink creature. We have Massacre Girl, human assassin, 4/4 menace. Creatures you control have Wither. And what Wither does, instead of dealing regular damage, we just start putting -1/-1 counters on everything. And then when a creature an opponent controls dies, if its toughness becomes less than 1, you draw a card. So if say you trade off with somebody, there's another 4/4 on the field, and they trade off with a 4/4. Your creature has Wither. It doesn't do 4 regular damage. It gives the creature 4 -1 counters. That means it goes down to 0 health, which means its toughness is less than 1, so you get to draw a card. She doesn't show up so much in my playtesting, so I'm not sure if we'll get to demonstrate this today or not. Invasion of Olgrotha is one more nice little removal just for cheap. Not that it's 5 is cheap, but I mean it takes out cheap creatures. 3 damage to any other target, and you gain 3 life, so here's a little bit of life gain for me. And I can get another legendary human wizard. Human's kind of nice because it gives another outlet for Jaren if you want to give her lifelink. So just neat little synergies like that here and there. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, you put a +1/+1 counter on Grandma Ravi, and you gain 1 life. So you get more life gain on the flip side of that battle. Kinzu of the Bleak Coven. This one I haven't seen used a lot. 5/4 with flying. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you pay 2 life and exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's 1/1 and has Toxic 1. So, you know, I wouldn't mind, you know, getting another Enrica Domnathi that's a 1/1 with Toxic, right? It's still fly, that kind of thing. We have Aclazotz, of course. Most people know this one. Flying and lifelink. It fits in with the discard theme. Whenever it attacks, each opponent discards a card. If an opponent doesn't have any cards, if they can't discard, you get to draw a card. And then if they throw away a land card, you get a 1/1 bat creature token with flying that you see a picture to the right there. And then when this thing dies, it just turns into a land. And if you or your opponent has one of your cards in your hand, you can use this, tap it, pay 3 as a sorcery, and it turns back into the bat, tapped onto the battlefield. So that's kind of cool. Notice this is a legendary card. It's designed for, you guessed it, Commander. Transform Temple of the Dead. Activate only if A players. So that could be any one of the 4 players on the field in the Commander brawl. Let's see. Our Commander game. Okay, here's the second Gisa. Gisa the Hellraiser, the latest one. Legendary Human Warlock for 4/4. This one's kind of overpowered in my mind because there's 2 ward costs you have to pay. You have to pay 2 mana to the targeter, plus you have to pay 2 of your own life. Skeletons and zombies get +1/+1 and have menace. And whenever you commit a crime, create tapped 2/2 blue and black zombie rogue creature tokens. It only triggers once per turn, but it adds up. She's kind of a game winner at the end. So that's it. We got 2 Field of Runes. We got some card draw with Dross Pits. We got Takanuma to go get some creatures or planeswalkers back. And we got 4 of the Hidden Necropolises so that we can use a discovery later on if the game slows down. And we've got 2 Plaza of Heroes, of course, because we have legendary creatures. We can pay 3 and give 1 hexproof and indestructible until end of the turn. That is the deck. Let's see if we can find somebody who's actually going to try and stick around for more than 3 turns and play us a game. It is summertime. It is hot out. It is July. Because I have so many Ravenmans, I put out my tap land first. I don't put out Tiny Bones first. I see if Ravenman can survive, and we put Ravenman out first. And we might put some other stuff out too. They didn't cast anything. Interesting. Let's do Realm Breaker. They might have something to stop attackers. We're not going to attack just yet. Mondrak. Okay. Let's do Gix. They got their nice on-curve mythic rare already. They're drawing land every single turn. This is usually a sign that we lose. Right? Look at all that stuff. Yeah, let's just trade. They got a lot of value out of that. Let's make them discard something. Make them mill something. It's just a land. Alright. Trigger, trigger. We made them discard so we get the bird. With those 6 treasures, they can probably empty their entire hand. We probably won't need to worry about discard anymore after this. Gruff triplets. Yeah, that's pretty much game over for us. They got all those tokens. That is their combo. That's it. Yeah, discard is worthless. They got exactly the combo they wanted. They got Mondrak. They got their treasures with Gold Vein Hydra. They wanted it dead so they could summon the triplets. You get twice as many tokens. So instead of getting 2 Gruff triplet tokens, they got 4. And you can't kill these because when you do, all the counters go on the other copies. And I did not include any board wipes at all. So Gruff triplets is one of my kryptonites. Gruff triplets is going to kill me. And Arena didn't give me any removal up there. But our opponent got every land drop they wanted, and we did not. Can we have a match where they don't automatically get their very specific combo? Their game-winning combo. With the only 3 cards that they needed. Let's go, let's go! When Arena takes that many seconds to go find me an opponent, I don't expect them to sit here and do this. You're killing me. This is why I want the YouTube format. Instead of standard format, we want YouTube format. They know they're going to be recorded. They're not allowed to do this. This would be forbidden. Come on, Wizards. It's been years. Give us the format. Poor Tiny Bones just sits there disassembled the whole time. You can't do anything this way. I'm clicking all over the place. I like my opening hand, actually. I'd like to have a chance to play it. We take this break in station identification to remind everybody, like and subscribe. You're at Tpull's Corner. This is Travis. we know there's a new subscriber out there. We can see the metrics. We get notified. We get notified when there's somebody new. All right. Do we have a game? Have you shown up? She's on Hawaii time. She's like, oh, maybe I'll show up and play. Or did that just time out? I think I'm going to make a non-gaming post where I just make a list of all the ways that I hate Arena in terms of trying to get a good game going. Like people scooping on turn 3 for no reason. Like people roping me at the very beginning before the game even starts. Arena's supposed to be a fun place, but there's a lot of drudgery to get through just on the way to get a game. Okay. Thank you for wasting our time, Kawaii Queen. There are a number of decks that do make people insta-scoop. It depends on your personality. There's a number of decks that I like that I don't do a lot of. I like mill decks. I don't do them a whole lot. I like discard decks. I don't do a whole lot of those. I'm partial to a lot of board wipes, so I can do a board wipe deck. And I've been staying away from those quite a bit. Hence no board wipes in this particular deck. My opponent is Mo Lester. I'm going to feel bad if I lose to Mo Lester. That just feels bad, just thinking about it. Nobody wants to lose to a Mo Lester. Let's try Realm Breaker. I think Realm Breaker may be a problem, right? Because this is just going to beef up anything that I mill into the graveyard. Let's start with Massacre Girl. And we missed a land drop. So... we didn't get a land. We milled 3 of those in a row. That's lovely. Let's just bring down Ravenman. Yeah, the next one's going to be big. We'll give up Ravenman. We'll take some damage. But we get to demonstrate Massacre Girl. See, we got 2/2 counters on there. It got rid of their +1/+1s. Next, we do... Let's discard a card. We'll get rid of you. And... I feel like I'm asking for trouble if I throw even more of those away, right? I don't know that we get out of this no matter what. Yep, that's number 10. That's number 11. So all you have is lands in that card? Notice they stopped drawing lands too. Okay, we get rid of that. We take, what, 4 points of damage? We get to draw a card. And none of that's really going to help. I think we're pretty much dead. We can get rid of another one of those. We can bring that down. And I think they have lethal. Yep. Yeah, Arena gives them 6 lands and then no more. And that was all that they did. And they get trampled, so. we did what we could. I haven't come up against one of those in a while. I must have triggered some new corner. We were beaten by the molester people. It's a bad night. I think Arena saw somebody scoop when we put out Realm Breaker, and they said, let's make sure we give him a deck where Realm Breaker is a negative to put down. And we'll give it to him early so that he plays it. Okay, but we have Raven Man and we have Tiny Bones joins up, so let's see if we can make Raven Man survive for a turn. Opponent got to go first, though. Yeah, they don't like him. He's gone. Alright, retry. Let's just make him get rid of something else. It might be a land at this point. We'll see. Yeah, Stagecoach Security. Okay. Missed a land drop, the opponent did not.
Those who get in my way tend to regret it.
They also got an Encore 4 Mythic Rare card. We'll see if they just have a backup ready. Close. Okay, I really could use my 4th land right about now. Thank you! Was that so hard? Massacre Girl. Get rid of Lightning Bolt, that's good. Discard, we'll get rid of Kinzu.
Drop it.
They get rid of Requisition Raid. They also get rid of my Planeswalker.
I knew this was a waste of time.
Hello. Okay, they tapped out for it. You are running out of ammo. Discard a card. Ooh, they choose to do nothing. Let's see what happens when we do this. Legendary causes them to mill and lose a life. We lose a life from Jaren. They lose their second Myrel, which is awesome. Oh, man. Can't use its activated abilities. Alright, let's do Gisa. Mill and lose a life. It's just a land this time. We hit you for 1 point of damage! Finally. The clock is ticking now, folks. There goes Gisa. Alright, last creature. Oh, is there... Oh, hello. What do I have available? I only have 2. Let's bring Raven Man back. Autopay. We trigger. Tiny Bones joins up again. We're going to submit 0 for that next crime. We get rid of Ambush and Stagecoach. We attack for another point of damage. I don't think I can activate Jaren, can I, when he's under prison sentence? Let's try and see. If I stay at 13 life... That's considered an activated ability, right? It depends. It's the wording. We can't We can't trigger the 2 to give a human life link. 3, 4, 5, 6. So let's just go here. And really, normally what I would be doing is I would taking Raven Man and I would making them discard a card. I would make them discard that card so we'd get a bird. But I want to see... That doesn't work, right? How's the wording on this bottom part? It works! It's not like an irregular activated ability. I can sacrifice things and draw cards with them, right? Or no, that sacrifice is an activated ability. Darn it. I spent 6 mana. I did transform a creature, but it didn't really help me all that much, did it? Okay, let's put Enrica down. We will target them. They will lose a card and a life point. We can get Liliana back. No. I don't have enough land still. Okay, we're going to submit 0. So you just mill the land. Next. Let's each player sacrifice a creature. Massacre Girl. That seems fair. Finally, oh, they're out of ammo and they don't want to stick around for anything more after that. Yeah, some people just will not play mill. Some people will not play discard. What other things do people insta-scoop at? I've had people scoop just from being land-starved. That's different. That's how Arena is treating them. But in terms of deck archetypes, I think mill and discard are the biggest ones. Poison, I think, is up there now these days. Some people just won't play against poison. But I've played other decks that weren't any one of those 3, and people have still scooped. Okay, what is that? It's a counterspell. We've got a lot of these, so let's use one. They throw away the Sphinx. Is that because they're having trouble with land? What do I do here? I feel like we need to do this again. Let's give them tough choices. If they're not getting land, that means they're getting rid of something substantial. Except now, can they... No, they need 2 blue to make it a counterspell. Nope, that gives them their next good land. That's kind of late, but we'll put down braids. I'm going to sacrifice an enchantment that'll let us scry. They lose 2 automatically. And I think this is the right way to go. Well, let's see. If I put that down and make them sacrifice something... No, that's okay. That's okay, I think. It's a tough call. They can keep their mana open for a counterspell. No, oh, interesting choice. I was expecting them to bounce braids. They did the scry. They bring it back down to explore again. Are they hunting for more? Ah, maybe they're hunting for something like that. No, come on through. Okay, now we get rid of... Yeah, let's pay 3 life and get rid of the guide. No attacks. We're not going to do anything yet. No blocks, come on through. Okay. We will try to bring down Jared. I'm expecting the counterspell. That way I don't lose the life. Oh, they have 2 counterspells. Lovely. Okay, now we sacrifice this. We get to scry. We don't need 2 of those. Now we have to block. And now they can't do the counterspell. They can do that to get rid of braids. That's what we expected. Now this just can't be... Well, Urza's rebuff also takes 2 blue. Okay, it's another card. It's another shoot. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay, so... Can I do 3 and 2? Yes, I can. Okay, so we bring you down. Sacrifice a creature.
Nobody knows Dominaria's shadows like... Off you go.
And you go away. And we... It doesn't give you the choice to pay 3 life because that would kill you. So that choice is not allowed here. We have to discard a card. Okay, so draw 2 cards and discard because they were afraid that we would make them discard. What did they get rid of? Pathfinder, Axejaw. They get a land. What do we want to do? I feel like... we play that. We make them discard. We get rid of Lear, and I get rid of Massacre.
Don't overthink things.
That seems fair.
You won't be outsmarting me.
Going down to 1 life. I'm gonna draw a card next turn. Oh, they got me down to 2 life points. I was gonna go down to 1 just to get the extra card draw. They decided they could not recoup, which is strange for a green-blue deck. You'd think they'd have some really good card draw spell at some point, but maybe they didn't want to wait for it. At some point, discard really feels almost like a blue-white control deck just because you're able to manage the threats enough. We've got so many discard spells, I can't really justify hoarding them all. Especially against something like that. Okay, so we start here. Ooh, tough choices. Tough choices. They throw away a land. Okay. Now what are you going to throw away? It's a werewolf deck. They still get the land. Of course you do.
No more distractions. Let's make this quick. Haven't you ever heard of personal space?
Now what? Ah, they make their land drop. Of course they do. We're going to pay 3 life for this one. Let's do Tiny Bones. They throw away another land? I'll get rid of my mirror box.
Don't overthink.
I kind of like the idea of doing mirror box just to see their faces with 2 Lilianas on the field, but Wolf Strike, okay, that's not going to help them much right now. If they put down a creature without haste, we can get rid of it with Liliana. Shock, okay.
Sorry, I'm not interested in dying today. This is my home, and I don't appreciate it when sacrifices must be made.
Okay, as long as they don't have direct damage right away, or they could, right? They could have another shock, but they don't have haste.
Drop
Ooh,
it.
a 4-drop. And you wouldn't have had that problem if you hadn't discarded your land at the very beginning. So they done messed up a little bit, didn't they? Let's go ahead and sacrifice this and see what we got coming up. Tiny Bones and Hero's Heirloom. Neither one of those is going to be good for this situation. Braids is good. You can also get rid of the Ramble Armor.
Don't
And
overthink things.
it's a good time to scry. That is all wonderful stuff right there. It's all wonderful. It's not your turn, so this means we get rid of this. I'm not even going to make you discard anything, because I want to keep this. I need my 5 land. If I get 6, I may start sacrificing my lands. Alright. You come down. Milieu costs you life. That does you a favor. You don't need land right now. I'm helping you out. See, 2 lands. It's awesome. Really helping you out.
I'm tired of
Not
your
even hitting you in the face. And they scoop. I was so nice. I didn't attack you twice in a row. Alright, we'll do one more. If you want to get a quick 15 wins in, you could probably get 3 to 5 wins in a night just from people seeing your discard and scooping within the first 3 turns. That's not usually how I prefer to win. I like longer, more exciting matches. I'm here to play fun matches. But if I'm in a rush, this type of deck works for me. 78 more cards in your deck. We can get Raven Man out. It's a good start. 3-1 already with Ward. That's disgusting. And they might have a combat spell. Okay, that's Ward 2, so I need, what, 4 lands just to get rid of that? Disgusting. Oh, we got a Ward deck going on. Very cheap deck, too. They didn't attack? Why are you not attacking? Let's do this. They got rid of so many cards. Okay. Our discard's not going to do much against them because what do they care if they're throwing away 1-drops? They're just going to draw another 1-drop. Or something like that. And since Giada has vigilance, my birds aren't going to have much of an effect either. And I'm missing my land drops. Shoot. There we go. They've got 5 in the air already. They might have 4 drops in there somewhere, but it looks like... Oh, does that thing come back? It does. Alright. I'm paying 3 life to get rid of this. They probably don't want to get rid of their enchantment. They have a choice. They can sacrifice that if they want to. They don't. Okay. We get to scry again. You know what? I think I need all the land I can get right now. Because it's all tapped. It's going to take a second for everything to work right. They didn't kick that, right? So they don't get their soldier creature tokens. We're getting tricky here. Discard a card, please. I want another bird. Yeah, we made things difficult for you finally, didn't we? Okay. Also going to attack with that, and then we sacrifice it to Braids. They don't want to sacrifice a creature, so they're going to let me have the card draw. And they lose 2 life from that. They don't want to send their Honor Guardian now, because they can just block it with Raven Man. I think that's too little too late. They have a 4-mana card. That's a little desperate now. I am down to 3. Do you think they have removal? Sacrifice a creature. They do not. Okay, they've done what they can. Mirror box. Realm Breaker. Attack with my 5/5 with lifelink. They can't discard a card, so we get card draw. They take it. They're down to 3. We will sacrifice this one and allow us to scry. They need to sacrifice that enchantment. We still get to scry. Actually, I don't think we need Tiny Bones right now, do we? That will come in handy. Jadar's good to sacrifice stuff to Braids. Okay, 7/7 with reach, so now we can't block with our lifelinker, right? Wow. Didn't expect that. How do we want to do this? Well, I'm glad it was a good meal anyway. Then we're bringing this down. Do I bring this down as a regular land?
Dominaria's shadows like
What
me.
is that card? I think we just make them sacrifice a creature.
Haven't you ever heard of personal space?
No attacks. End the turn. We get a zombie. We sacrifice the creature. They really can't afford to go down to 1 life point. They've got to sacrifice one of these two. They went down to 1 life point. No way. What are you gonna do? Bum rush me? Yeah. Yeah, that's what I thought. We will block you here. We'll block you... Oh, we can't block him there. We'll just block there and get some life out of this. And we run it on in. Alright, so you need to have a nice mix of discard cards, of spells. You can't do all discard, you can't do pure discard. If they get a battlefield presence, then you're lost. So you see we've got 4, 5, 6, 7 discard spells there. We've got 2 more sources of discard with Liliana of the Veil, so that's 9. And then when we get to, let's see, is there anything else really that makes them discard in here? We've got Mill, but that's different from discard slightly. They're kind of distant cousins. Oh yeah, where's Ecclesotz? There we go. I knew I had a 10th one. So we've got 10 things that deal with discard, basically. That's a pretty good mix. I would recommend in a discard deck. You could maybe go 11, 12, depending on if it's a creature that has that additional type of thing. In addition to those, I should count Raven Man. 4 copies of that. So I went to 14. You notice I didn't have a lot of extra mana and extra time most of the time. There was maybe once when I could have, but I was busy transforming Jaren into a legendary demon. But maybe once I would have used that. It is something to keep in mind. So that's, I think 14 is a really good sample size in terms of always getting some good resources to use on them to make them discard. And you saw, depending on where I was, what my hand was like, what stage of the game we were in, if I would use it or not in the opening. Kind of depended on if I had a lot of extras or not, and if I had a Raven Man nearby, that kind of thing. So if you don't have a Raven Man and you wanted to use something else in its place, maybe there's a different synergy you'd want to use. I don't see Raven Man used a lot, but I have ran against him a couple times over the past couple of years, and he's been very effective when the opponents played him against me. So I definitely wanted to highlight him a little bit as well. But yeah, Hopeless Nightmare is kind of an overpowered card for just 1 mana. And I think this is kind of not just related to Commander. I think this is related to Wizards of the Coast. The designers really want to try and bump up with the power creep in terms of the lower costing cards. They want to make exciting cards for you to play. But I think that's kind of made things a little bit weird for us, because normally in the old days this would have cost 2. And Tiny Bones as well would have cost 2. Maybe it would cost 2 black, maybe it would have been 1 and a black, that kind of thing. But just for all of the effects, think of a lot of the other discard spells that you have. I mean, granted, you don't... For 3 mana, we could actually look at their hand and choose one, right? That kind of thing. Here, we don't look at their hand. They get to choose the discard. But still, there's so much extra you can do with this card. And this card as well, you can do... There's so many extra things you can do for just 1 mana. Adding both of these spells into a single deck, I think we did a good demonstration tonight to kind of show you how everything could work. So we'll leave it there. We invite your comments on what you're thinking of the current state of discard, on what you think of them designing more and more cards for the Commander format, and on stuff like, are these 1 mana spells? Are they overpowered? I mean, it's a legendary. We expect things to do more for legendary, but Hopeless Nightmare is not a legendary. So is this too much for 1 mana? Is that too much value? Is there too much power creep going on at the lower levels? That's a fun question to debate. In the meantime, as always, we thank our patrons, our patron, and we thank you for joining us tonight. That's all for now. Have a good one.